Let me tell you about two guys I know. Same city, same age, both 34, both pulling in roughly the same paycheck every month. Walk into James's apartment and you'll notice a secondhand couch, a rice cooker with tomorrow's lunch already in it, and a brokerage app he checks once a month. Like, not out of anxiety, but because he genuinely doesn't need to look more often. His car is a paid-off 2017 Honda Accord. Now walk into Kevin's place. A 65-inch television that cost more than some people's rent. A Peloton still in delivery plastic. 3 food delivery apps on his home screen. A credit card statement on the counter he's been meaning to open since last Tuesday. Kevin leases a BMW and posts it on Instagram every other week. Same city, same salary range. The difference between them shouldn't be this dramatic. James has $112,000 saved and invested at 34. Kevin has $4,200 in savings and $31,000 in high interest debt. Yeah, he calls manageable. I'm Martin, an investment coach. I've spent years sitting across from people on both ends of this spectrum, and I can tell you right now, this is not a story about income. It's about 10 habits so unsexy, so deeply uninstagrammable that most people scroll right past them, waiting for a financial breakthrough that never comes. Before we get into the list, let me kill a myth the internet keeps selling you. The myth says you haven't built wealth yet because you haven't found the right investment. That's a lie dressed up in YouTube thumbnails and crypto Twitter threads. The most financially stable people I've ever worked with didn't find a secret. They just did ordinary things consistently for a long time without stopping. That's the whole blueprint. What I'm about to give you isn't exciting, but it works. Habit 1. Pay your future self first, before your brain votes against it. Here's something nobody tells you about willpower. You don't have enough of it. Nobody does. Every month you're essentially asking your brain to choose between something real and tangible right now. New shoes, a night out, a weekend trip, and some abstract number in a retirement account 30 years from now. In that fight, today wins every single time. The solution isn't discipline. The solution is automation. When James got his first full-time job, he did one thing before he spent a single dollar of his paycheck. He set up an automatic transfer on payday. His savings moved before he ever saw them. His brain never had the chance to negotiate. That psychological gap between automatic and voluntary saving is enormous. Like, as an investment coach, I've seen clients close wealth gaps, not by finding better investments, but simply by switching from manual transfers to automated ones. So here's your first action. This week, automate your savings. Set it to move on the day you get paid, not the day after, the day of. The money disappears before your lifestyle knows it existed. What you don't see, you don't spend. Habit 2, drive something that works, not something that impresses. The average new car payment is now pushing $750 a month, and dealerships have gotten clever about how they make that number feel acceptable. They stretched the loan from 4 years to 6, then 6 to 7, and now, I need you to hear this, 10-year car loans exist. Someone sitting in a dealership right now is financing a car they'll still be paying off in 2035 while it's worth maybe $8,000. The car payment is one of the single most devastating wealth destroyers in modern life. And the cruelest part, people don't think of it as a financial decision. They think of it as A personality decision, Kevin's BMW costs him $890 a month. That's not transportation. That's identity with a monthly invoice. That $890 a month invested consistently at a modest 10% annual return over 30 years, that's over $2 million. Instead, Kevin has leather seats and an oil change reminder. As your investment coach, my advice is direct. Drive something reliable, paid off, and boring. The car you drive says something about you. But what it says to the right people is that you understand money better than most. Habit 3, cook. Like your financial life depends on it because it does. I once tracked a client's expenses without telling them what I was looking for. When I came back with the results, they didn't believe me. Food delivery alone was costing them $1,100 a month. Not restaurants, not groceries, just the apps. A home-cooked meal costs roughly $4 to $5 per serving. A restaurant meal averages closer to $22. A delivered meal, by the time you add delivery fees, service charges, and tips, often $30 to $35 for one person, like one meal. James runs a slow cooker twice a week, spends maybe $90 at the grocery store, eats out once a week as a deliberate treat. His total monthly food spend is around $400. Kevin spends nearly $1,000 a month on food. He doesn't think of himself as someone with a food problem. He just doesn't have time to cook. That $600 monthly gap invested over 25 years at 10% approaches $800,000 from a slow cooker and 45 minutes on a Sunday afternoon. I'm not asking you to give up your life. I'm asking you to recognize what you're actually trading. Habit 4, buy less house, then the bank will approve. Here's something I tell every client who comes to me before a home purchase. The bank's job is not to tell you what you can comfortably afford. The bank's job is to tell you the maximum you can borrow without immediately defaulting. Those are two completely different numbers. The gap between what the bank approves and what's actually comfortable is where people quietly lose the next 30 years of their lives. I've seen it over and over in my coaching work. Couples who bought the biggest house they could qualify for and then spent the next decade unable to save, invest, or breathe financially. The house wasn't the reward. The house was the reason. Wealthy accumulators, the genuinely wealthy ones, not the ones who look wealthy, consistently buy houses that leave them margin. They live in neighborhoods where they're not the most expensive property on the block. The practical rule I give clients: keep your housing costs at or below 25% of take-home pay. If you earn $90,000 a year, you're looking at $1,875 a month for housing, not $3,000. The $1,125 monthly difference invested over 30 years is the difference between retiring comfortably and retiring scared. Habit 5, and track every dollar. Not to restrict, but to see 86% of people say they have a budget. I've coached enough of them to tell you that most of those people are lying. Not to me, but to themselves. Having a budget you consistently blow past isn't budgeting. It's just guilt with a spreadsheet. Real tracking is about information. It's about walking into your monthly finances with your eyes open instead of squinting and hoping. When I start working with a new coaching client, one of the first things I do is a full expense audit. We go through everything. And without exception, every single time we find something that shocks them. a subscription they forgot existed, convenience fees adding up to hundreds, bank fees on an account they should have closed 3 years ago. You cannot make strategic decisions about money you're not looking at. The number at the end of the month isn't smaller because of bad luck. It's smaller because of hundreds of small decisions made without full information. Track everything, not forever, but long enough to see what's actually happening. 1 month of honest tracking will tell you more about your financial life than a year of vague intentions. Habit 6, capture every raise before your lifestyle smells. This one is almost embarrassingly simple and almost nobody does it. You get a raise within 90 days, your spending has caught up entirely. A new parking spot, nicer lunches, a streaming service you picked up during a free trial, maybe nothing you can even specifically name. The raise just absorbed. There's a name for this, hedonic adaptation. The brain is remarkably good at making every new level of spending feel like the baseline, which is whatever you have becomes normal. Whatever more you get becomes the new normal, and the savings rate never moves. Kevin got a $7,000 raise last year. He got a nicer apartment. He started buying coffee instead of making it. He picked up a gym membership he uses occasionally. His savings rate didn't move a single percentage point. James got the same raise before his first new paycheck arrived. He increased his automated retirement contribution by $250 a month. He never told his lifestyle about the raise. His lifestyle still doesn't know. As your investment coach, here's the rule I want you to adopt right now. The moment a raise is confirmed, increase your automated contribution, not after the first new paycheck, before it. Your lifestyle adjusts to whatever it receives. Give it less. Give your future self more. Habit 7, invest in index funds and then do the hardest thing in finance, nothing. There is a sentence in my coaching practice that is responsible for more wealth building than any specific investment strategy I've ever recommended. Here it is. Buy a low-cost S&P 500 index fund, automate your contributions, and leave it completely alone. That's it. I know that's not what you want to hear. You want a strategy, you want an edge, you want the thing that other people don't know about yet. But here's what the data shows year after year. Most professional active fund managers, people with Bloomberg terminals, research teams, and decades of experience cannot consistently beat a basic index fund benchmark. Not most of the time. Not even close to most of the time. The average retail investor trying to be clever, timing the market, reacting to news, underperforms the index by several percentage points annually. The cost of cleverness is staggering over a 30-year period. The boring strategy isn't the consolation prize. It is the strategy. Buying index funds and leaving them alone requires you to fight your own psychology every time the market dips. Every time a coworker tells you about a hot stock, every time a news headline screams about a crash, the discipline isn't in the buying, it's in the not touching it afterward. Habit 8, build an emergency fund. Like Murphy's Law is personally targeting you. An emergency fund doesn't compound. It doesn't make a good story at a dinner party. Nobody has ever gotten rich off their high yield savings account. And yet, as an investment coach, I've watched this single habit be the difference between clients who survive financial shocks and clients who get destroyed by them. More than a third of adults cannot cover a $400 unexpected expense with cash, one blown tire, one emergency vet visit, one urgent dental appointment, and it goes on the credit card at 20% plus interest. And then the minimum payments begin And then the wealth building stops entirely because you're fighting your way out of a hole that started as a flat tire. Kevin had a $900 car repair last year. He put it on his credit card. He's still paying it off. The interest he's paid on that repair has now exceeded the repair itself. And James had the same thing happen. He has a different car, different amount. He paid it from his emergency fund. By the following Tuesday, it was gone and forgotten, not a crisis, an inconvenience, like 3 to 6 months of expenses in a high-yield savings account, untouched unless the world actually falls on you. Build it before you invest anything else. This isn't optional. Habit 9, treat exciting financial opportunities like they're trying to rob you, because they usually are. I want to tell you something that took me years to say clearly to coaching clients because it sounds cynical at first. If someone is excited to bring you a financial opportunity, that excitement is a warning sign. Not always a deal breaker, but always a warning sign worth taking seriously. The statistics are brutal. Day traders who commit to it seriously lose money at rates that should embarrass anyone who has ever promoted day trading to ordinary people. Multi-level marketing income disclosures, the real ones buried in the legal section of their websites, show the overwhelming majority of participants losing money once expenses are factored in. The cryptocurrency opportunity your coworker can't stop mentioning has already made its early money. The people who got rich from it aren't in your office break room right now. The coaching program promising to replace your income in 90 days is primarily in the business of selling coaching programs to people who want to replace their income. All of these share the same structure, a vivid, emotionally compelling story about the upside and the statistics about the downside, either missing entirely or buried so deep in fine print that no one in the room has read them. They are engineered around your hope. They are designed to make the dream louder than the data. And here's what makes it harder. The people pitching you often believe it themselves. This isn't always deliberate fraud. Sometimes it's just people who got lucky early and mistook luck for skill, and they genuinely want you to experience what they experienced. That sincerity makes the pitch more convincing and the danger no smaller. The S&P 500 has never once sent you a DM, posted a reel, or hired someone to pitch you over coffee. It doesn't have a charismatic founder or a before and after testimonial. It just quietly returns year after year with no salesmanship at all. No one's earning a commission to get you into it. No one needs you emotionally activated to make the decision. That's not a flaw in the product. That's the point. The rule I give clients is simple. If you had to be persuaded into it, be skeptical of it. Real wealth building doesn't need a pitch. It doesn't need urgency. It doesn't need your excitement. It just needs your consistency. Habit 10. Sleep on every major purchase for 72 hours every single time. And the average person spends somewhere north of $3,000 a year on impulse purchases. And the majority of them, if you ask them a week later, couldn't fully justify why they bought it. Not in any rational sense. The item exists. The money is gone. But the reasoning that felt so solid in the moment has quietly evaporated. Here's the psychology behind it, and I think it's worth understanding because it changes how you see yourself when this happens. Impulse desire has a half-life. The burning need you feel at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday, staring at something on your phone, that feeling is a temporary emotional state, not a rational evaluation. It's your brain responding to visual stimulation, to scarcity cues, to the friction-free design of a checkout button. That intensity drops significantly within 24 to 72 hours. The thing that felt absolutely essential on Tuesday night feels optional, even questionable by Friday morning. Research consistently backs this up. Somewhere between 60 and 70% of items people add to online wish lists are never purchased. Those people accidentally stumbled onto the 72-hour rule without knowing it. They got distracted or busy, or they just slept on it. And the desire dissolved on its own without a single moment of conscious discipline. This is important, so I want to be direct about it as your investment coach. This habit is not about willpower. Willpower is unreliable, finite, and depletes over the course of a day. Building your financial life around willpower is like building a house on sand. This habit is about something more durable, a delay mechanism, a speed bump between the emotion and the transaction. You are not saying no, you are saying not yet. Come back Friday, revisit it with fresh eyes, a full night of sleep, and a brain that isn't riding the chemical wave of wanting something new. Most of the time, Friday arrives and the answer becomes no by default. Not through gritted teeth, not through a heroic act of self-control, just because the feeling passed and the justification didn't survive the wait. Cut your impulse spending in half. And for most people, that's a conservative estimate of what this habit delivers. That's $1,500 to $2,000 back in your pocket every single year, invested consistently over 25 years at a historical average market return. You're looking at more than $200,000 in additional wealth. Built not from sacrifice, not from deprivation, but from a calendar reminder and 3 days of patience. Closing the loop on James and Kevin James is 34. He has $112,000 invested, a paid-off car, a slow cooker, and an emergency fund he genuinely hopes he never has to touch. He's not rich. Not yet. But at his current trajectory, with no career changes and no lucky breaks, he is on track to cross $1 million before he turns 55. Not because he found the thing, because he never stopped doing the boring things. Kevin is 34. He has $4,200 saved, $31,000 in debt, and a Robinhood account down 28% from a tip that made complete sense at the time. He's not stupid. He's not irresponsible at heart. He's just been optimizing for how things feel right now instead of what they become over time. And the gap between him and James, which started at nearly zero, is now over $100,000 and widening every year. I've worked with both types of people. The Kevins of the world are not lost causes. I've seen people turn it around completely. But every single one of them had to first accept something uncomfortable. The exciting version of wealth building they were waiting for was never coming. This is the version. These 10 habits, repeated without drama, without fanfare, without anyone posting about it. So the habits aren't the point, by the way. The point is what they protect. Margin, options, the ability to say no to a job you hate, the ability to absorb a crisis without it becoming a catastrophe, the freedom to retire before your body forces you to. As your investment coach, that's what I want for you. Not a number, an option. The option to live your life on your own terms because you made 1,000 small, unglamorous decisions in the right direction. Pick one habit from this list. Start this week. Not next month. Not after the next paycheck. This week. Compound interest doesn't ask for perfection. It just asks you to begin. If this reframed something for you, drop a comment, subscribe, and tell me which of these 10 you're starting with. I read every single one. See you next week.